What's up guys, it's Mary Beth and I'm here to bring you a review of the New Balance 880 version 10. If you're not familiar with the 880, this is one of New Balance's staple, neutral, medium cushion, neutral running shoes. Obviously we're on version 10, so this shoe has been around for a while. If you're not familiar with where it sits in the lineup, you've got your 1080, which is kind of your max cushion option, and the 880 sits right underneath this in New Balance's running lineup. It's a medium cushion shoe. It's kind of like a workhorse shoe. It's got a 10mm drop. So it's not your fuel cell, it's not your beacon. It's a little bit more traditional and more of an everyday sort of trainer. And again, it's medium cushion. There have been some really cool updates, I think, to this version of the 880, and so I kind of want to take you through that. The first being that they've integrated their new Fresh Foam X technology into the sole, which is really exciting. The Fresh Foam X cushioning is quite spongy, soft, and plush feeling. If you remember from the 1080, this is that cushioning that really feels like a cloud or like a Tempur-Pedic mattress, highly cushioned. So they've integrated that into the 880, but the cool thing that they've done with the 880, because this is a more medium cushion shoe and a lot of people who wear this shoe may prefer a little bit of firmness, they've actually layered in some pockets of more traditional EVA cushioning on top of that Fresh Foam X. So this actually blends really nicely and gives this shoe kind of a perfect balance of soft cushion and firmer, more responsive material for a more efficient push off. So for me, this works really well because in a softer shoe, I can tend to sometimes maybe slightly overpronate or just not feel as stable. If you're someone who's prone to roll your ankle in a really soft shoe, the 880 is going to give you that firmness that you need for security. So again, it's been updated with the Fresh Foam X cushioning in the sole with a little bit of EVA layered on top. So this is a neutral shoe, but I do think that it's a pretty stable neutral shoe. And there's three key features that make it a more stable ride that I want to take you through. The first being what I just talked about, that firmer EVA on top, just kind of eliminates that wobble feeling and gives it a more stable ride. The second feature being this really firm heel counter back here. So as you can see, I'm trying to compress that heel counter down and I can't. It's quite rigid and nice and firm. Comparing that to the 1080, you've got a really compressible heel counter back here. Your heel's gonna be locked in, you're gonna feel secure, and if you're someone who maybe slightly overpronates or has a little bit of movement in their gait, this is gonna keep you locked in and keep you feeling secure. So I think that adds an element of stability to this otherwise neutral shoe. The third kind of stability feature in this shoe is just this really nice wide last. This wide base to the shoe means that it's not only gonna accommodate a wider foot if you need, but it's also just gonna give it a more stable platform for you to land on. You're not gonna be rocking over the sides like maybe you would in a shoe that has a more narrow base. So on the outsole, you've got this really nice grippy ground contact rubber here, which is great. I used this shoe on the pavement and then I also took it on some softer surfaces. I took it on bark trail and I took it on a dirt trail, and it transitioned really nicely across all of those surfaces. I think that this would work well on grass. I think it might even work well on rockier trails just because of this really sticky, firm rubber you've got on the outsole. They've also updated the flex grooves on the shoe, and I noticed that no matter where you strike in this shoe, if you're a heel striker, if you're more midfoot, you're gonna get a really nice transition just because of the way that the outsole is designed on this shoe with these flex grooves. It gives you a really nice propulsion off the ground, and I think you guys will like it. I definitely enjoyed it. On that note, the thing that I like about this shoe is that it accommodates pretty much all shapes and sizes of feet. As I mentioned, it's pretty wide in the last. You do get a good amount of midfoot lockdown. It tapers in a little bit here in the midfoot, so kind of a little bit of an hourglass shape to the shoe. And so if you're someone who has a narrow foot, if you're someone who has a wide foot, I think either way, you're gonna be comfortable in this shoe. I work in run specialty, And this shoe is pretty tried and true. It tends to work for a lot of customers, a lot of different types of runners with different shapes and sizes of feet. Additionally, if you're someone who likes to feel that your arch and your midfoot is secure, this is really going to give you that locked down feel that you're looking for. They've integrated their new hypo knit material. And so instead of a traditional mesh upper, this is actually a knit material. You've got no overlays and it really hugs nicely to the foot. It's breathable, it's simple, it feels really nice on the foot. So this knit upper isn't like a fly knit or maybe other types of knit uppers that are a little more sock-like. It's still pretty traditional in a lot of ways. You see that you've got this really padded heel back here. You've also got a very padded and pillowy tongue on the shoe. So people who like a more traditional shoe, like your Brooks wears, people who like that more pillowy feel on top of your foot, you're gonna like this because it feels traditional in that way, even though it's a more modern, updated knit upper. If you're looking for something that's a really lightweight, close-fitting upper, this ain't it. My first run in this shoe was on a pretty hot day. It was the first time putting this shoe on my foot, and I felt that it was a little bit too intrusive up top. It's really pillowy. There just felt like there was a lot of material on the top of my foot. That could just be because it was a warmer day and my foot was already kind of swollen. I will say that the next couple runs I took in this shoe, it seemed to compress down a little bit, and so that sensation kind of went away. But at first I was a little bit overwhelmed by how much upper material there is on this shoe. With that being said though, I think that there's a place for the 880 in pretty much every runner's lineup, no matter if you're a real casual like hobby jogger or if you're training for long distance races or faster paces. This is a really great workhorse shoe. I like it because it's not too much shoe. There's not a lot of clunk to it, but there's enough to get you through lots of miles, through longer runs. And I think that with that little touch of firmness, there's even enough responsiveness to get you through a tempo or a faster pace run if that is your typical bag. So the 880 is gonna work well for you if you're someone who likes the Brooks Ghost or maybe like a Mizuno Wave Rider. It fits really nicely into that category. It's got a 10mm drop, which is a little bit lower than some things in that category. So if you're someone who's concerned about drop, this guy might work well for you. Yeah, overall, I think that New Balance did a nice job on this update. I think they kind of played it safe. They didn't overhaul the 880 in the same way that they overhauled the most recent version of the 1080. So this is still going to work for your more traditional runner, someone who prefers a more familiar, less out there feel. So again, New Balance didn't overhaul the 880 quite as much as they overhauled the 1080 this year, but I do think that there are some nice updates with that Fresh Foam X in the sole, with this knit upper. Is this shoe groundbreaking, earth-shattering? No, I don't think so, but I think that this shoe is a really solid workhorse with some nice features, with those stabilizing features, with a cool knit upper that make it, you know, kind of the best of both worlds. It's the middle ground of something traditional that we know works, and it has a little bit of fun sprinkled in.
Well done.
Let us know in the comments down below if you have tried the 880, what your opinions are on it, and also just let us know how you're doing. How's your quarantine going? What's keeping you sane? Are you playing Animal Crossing? Are you cooking sourdough? Are you crushing long runs every day of the week? We would love to hear from you guys and just to hear how quarantine is going for you. Just hope that you are finding ways to still get out there and do what makes you happy, even though life is weird and crazy right now. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You can follow me on Instagram. You can follow Jamie on Instagram. And yeah, thanks for joining us. With that being said, don't forget to stay in school, don't do drugs, and if you can, please keep it tight. Okay, see y'all later.